Hi guys, thanks once again for tuning in. We're joined today by Denian and LilQtcheese from the team Your Soul Shall Chuffer. Now, how are you guys going?
Yeah, pretty good.
All right.
Brilliant. So, for all of our viewers out there, could you please tell us a little bit more about yourselves? And we'll start off with Denian.
Well, I play AD carry for your social Chuffer, one of the more annoying team names, I'm told. Um, and we just got knocked out of the round of 8 by Envy for a winter qualifier.
And you there, little cutie cheeks?
Me? Oh, well,
Yes.
same. I'm the mid laner for YSSC, also known as the Swain main on the server, pretty much.
Brilliant. All right. I think everyone is well and truly know you guys. You're very well known on our server. So, well done, guys, for making it to the round of 8. No bad luck, you didn't quite make it to the top 4. Did you guys expect it to make it so far in this tournament?
Honestly, we expected to go farther.
Yeah.
Like, I don't, it, maybe it's biased, but I do feel a bit, or very disappointed with how things ended up.
And what about you, little cutie cheese?
How I feel about the tournament? Oh yeah, for sure. Very disappointed. I mean, we were really confident going into the games. I mean, I think probably the biggest slap in the face as well is we did really well against AVA and just missed out on the spot by losing to them in some really close games as well. And then a team we've NB, which we've relatively done really well against in most tournaments, and ranked fives and such, we weren't able to beat in the time where it really mattered. It was pretty disappointing.
Yeah, so let's do like a little bit of recap on your journey to get where you are today. Like, firstly, you had to qualify for the round of 8. You had to verse Dig in the CGLP. Like, what were your thoughts on going into the match? Because versing a name like Dig is probably a little bit intimidating.
Well, at the time, they were not playing very well because they had a bunch of roster swaps and things that were bringing them down a bit. I know their AD carry had some real life issues pop up as well. So it was unfortunate timing for them for all their issues to prop up around the same time. And given that, they were playing a lot worse than they normally will, and hopefully a lot worse than they do in the future, as I hope they get back on their feet. But given that, they were not a very hard team to defeat at the time.
What about you, Cheese?
Wait, what was the question?
What were your thoughts on going into the match against Dig in the CGLP? CGPL, sorry.
Was this when we knocked them out of the top 8?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought, well, yeah, considering all their like recent roster swaps, I was pretty confident. Like, I don't know, roster swaps like really mess up with the team's dynamic. They had a lot of issues at that time because of it.
So did you feel that you were very expectant to beat them? Like, were you worried or?
Well, I'm not sure if other people saw it that way. I mean, we hadn't really proved ourselves as a team that much by that point, but like, I was pretty confident. The rest of the team seemed pretty confident at the same time.
And so to the both of you, how did it feel to like qualify for the big round of 8? Because that's a big thing in Oceanic, so.
I'll answer this one first because I won't forget the question. I don't know, top 8 was kind of expected, I think, for me and a lot of the team as well. I don't think it was that big of a surprise. It was more of the contest for the top 4, which we were more worried about, I think.
Yeah, there was still the arena that we were in. There was a bit of drama about that, but we were in it and we could have qualified through that still. So if we had lost to Dignitas and been unable to qualify in the CGPL, then we still would have had that. So going into those games, we weren't immensely stressed out. So we still had a plan B, pretty much.
Awesome.
And so moving on to the round of 8, everyone was really surprised that you 2-0'd NV. What were your feelings going into these games being the underdogs?
Were we the underdogs? I guess so.
There was a lot of favoritism.
Yeah, I mean, Envy has been around longer, and they have sponsors and all that media stuff. So I guess I can understand that. Well, the way we played, we probably didn't deserve to beat them, to be honest. In both of the games, I feel like we did really well early. We had a lot of mid-game issues, and we fell behind. And in both of the games, when we 2-0'd them, it was kind of like, I feel like we shouldn't have won. Particularly the first game. We had Heavens on Soraka and First Mate on Twitch. And they just ran past Cheese trying to kill me. And then me and Cheese turned and killed like 5 people on our own almost. Like I think we killed 4 people and their Shyvana and Intrepid lived. And like that really shouldn't have happened. If they just took it slower, they would have won that game right there. And then in the second game, they had Twitch Karthus, which was an insanely strong combo, but they had no way to take towers from us, and we stalled the game out. But I feel like if they had played it better, then they would have ended the game around the time that they got the second Baron, and they would have just dived us and taken it. So I feel like the games that we won, we didn't really deserve in that regard.
Did you feel like the Karthus pick wasn't the best idea for Heavens? Because as you said, they had no siege. So
well, they had no siege, but that was also because of the Twitch and also because of Shyvana. They had no ranged champion that could do it safely. Because if Twitch goes up, we just all in him because we had Annie. That doesn't make the Karthus pick wrong. It just means that they had to take more drastic measures. Like, if Shyvana got more armor and just straight up dived us tanking the tower, then the tower wouldn't have been a big issue. So I think it was just they were really far ahead, and they thought that they could just eventually take the stuff. They slowly got frustrated. We slowly maxed out on items, and then they couldn't. It came to a point where they just couldn't dive us anymore, and they got frustrated with that, I think. But I don't think the Karthus pick was wrong. I think we should have punished the Karthus pick more in mid lane and jungle, and have the Karthus just fall behind a lot. But outside of that, I don't think it was wrong.
So what were you guys thinking as the game dragged on slowly and slowly to that 75-minute mark? What was going through your heads? Daniel?
All right. I actually honestly have no idea. We just realized pretty much at one point, we were just like, how are we going to close this game? How are we going to win this game? And at one point we just realized that they had no siege, but we couldn't engage on them. So it was just going to be like, who rushes like the first engage? Like we can't engage on them, but we can hold the turrets and the inhibs. They can't engage. They can try and engage on us, but whether they can win the fight is different because we had so much zone. So all it came down to was one of the teams eventually fighting. Like that game could have just gone on for so much longer, but
oh god,
we had like. Our plan was really just to let them engage and just to see what would happen because there was no way we could fight. We honestly, we just didn't really have any way to close that game without them making a bad engage or a mistake. But that's all they could do because we had so much like zone with Ori Ball. Like if they went onto our team, we'd just get like a 3 or 4 man Ori Ball, or we had like a full build Jax. But at the end of the day, the game was up to how they played it. Like we couldn't actually engage on them. We just had to wait for them to pick an engage to actually go in on, so we could end up team fighting.
So what do you think that the big mistakes that NV made during that game to result in this kind of turtle mode?
Honestly, probably they should have gone in earlier. The Shyvana was incredibly tanky at one point, just mid game. They should have gone more in for the turret, but all they gave us time, like when they were already full build, for our champions to get full build, and by that point they couldn't win a 5v5 fight. Like they tried to split push, but that didn't work because we had Jax, who was just, no one could really 1v1 him, so he could just hold the other turret while we like zoned them off the mid or top turret with Ori Ball and Lucian W popping the Banshees so they can't engage and block the Ori ulti. So they definitely should have tried to do something earlier.
Yep.
For sure.
So, and 2 weeks ago, 2 weekends ago, we saw you play against AVA, which you guys were speaking about before. It was really close games, and people saw that you had improved a whole lot. Because in the NV games, they're a weaker team than AVA, and you said that you guys could have done a whole lot better, and you had to wait for them to make a mistake. What did you do to prepare for your games with AVA? Because, as I said, they're a stronger team, and you guys played marginally better.
I personally think that at the time, maybe now even still, probably now still, is that we did a lot of reactive play, whereas we would try to get a lot of wards out, see what the enemy team is doing, and then react to that. The problem with that against NV in particular is that NV didn't really want to do much. Like, so both teams didn't really want to do much, and we ended up doing a whole lot of nothing. At least that's how I see the games. Yeah. But AVA are a very fast-paced team, and they like to go for objectives. And if we get the wards down and we see what they're doing, then we can react to what they're doing. And then, so we were pretty good at reactive play. We just weren't very good at forcing our own objectives, I guess you could say. Sometimes we go for dragon, but a lot of times this was in reaction to something else that had happened. Like, oh, they're going top, we're going dragon. They're ganking bottom, we're ganking top. Something like that. It was very often just a reaction play, and I think we've been a lot better at that than we have been at forcing something, which we, in both times we played against Envy, were forced to do, but we just didn't execute it very well.
Did you have to pick differently versus each team? Because you said that AVA are a very fast-paced team, which we've all seen how quickly they move around things with their rotations and whatnot. Did you have to choose different champions in order to play against that, or what? Daniel?
I think our picks were actually better. I think our picks were actually better against AVA than they were against Envy, because we like picking early strength champions.
Yeah. And Cheese?
Oh, wait, what was the question?
Okay, did you find that you had to pick differently in order to verse AVA in comparison to NV? Because as Denian pointed out, they're a very fast-paced team.
Well, yeah, I think we tried to pick like better early game stuff. Like we pulled out the Swain in game 2. Although I don't think those games really came down to picks. I think we itemized wrongly in the terms of things like not getting Reverie, or what's it called now, Talisman of Ascension.
Yeah.
We didn't pick up one of those, and like the pressure was on us to engage because they had Nedley, and I think it would have all been like pretty damn possible with Talisman of Ascension, but we didn't pick that item up. More Banshees probably should have been gotten because of Nedley, and give that respect. I think the games didn't really come down to picks as much as just the play inside the game. Yeah,
because I saw the Kale game seemed to be like really, really much in your favor when you actually beat them that game. And you guys seem to beat AVA in the team fights. Like, how did that differ from their rotations? Were the rotations the reason you lost the game, or what?
Well, in the first game, they tried to pick like a bit more of a team fighty comp, and I feel like we're actually pretty good at organizing how to team fight, how to peel, and how to do that. In the next 2 games, the games that they won, they picked a lot of rotation-based compositions, like Nidalee and Ziggs, where they don't really necessarily have to fight us, and they just want to go around the map. And it was in those games that we got kind of pushed out of our element, because we like team fighting. It's fun, and we like doing it, and we seem to do pretty well at it, especially when we're picking champions like Swain or Cinder that are very good at picking someone off right before a fight, or in the middle of a fight, or just tanking up a lot of people for a really long time. So when they went into that poke and we didn't adequately itemize for it with the Talisman of Ascensions, or we had a few poor engages, I think, as well. Those sort of things can get really punished by having the poke heavy, rotation heavy team comps, which they moved into with their second and third game.
Alright, so last week the final game of the round of 8 was played, and you guys had an incredible rematch against NV. What were your thoughts about this rematch? We'll go with Denian.
What are my thoughts? I don't know. I'm very disappointed. Like, it's hard to get knocked out and not be disappointed, I suppose. As a whole, I think NV just played better on the day, and there's not a huge amount that I want to talk about because I'm still pretty sad about it.
Oh. What about you, Daniel? Do you have anything to add?
What was the original question?
Alright, what was your thoughts about the rematch against NV?
The one we lost. Oh, as I said earlier, I don't know, we went in really confident, but well, like none of us were really worried because we've never really lost to NV in a tournament before. We were in rank 5s and scrims and whatnot, had gone pretty well. My thoughts, I guess, they played better on the day and beat us.
Did you expect to go to see NV go so 100% on you guys after those couple of losers?
Probably not. I thought they were going to be pretty. I thought the games would be kind of a bit of a clean sweep because I don't know, the Intrepid at top lane, so like team roster changes and stuff. I thought we were going to win pretty easily, but that wasn't the case.
You guys seemed to get a real stranglehold in that second game, but just couldn't quite get it going in the third game. What do you think causes in hindsight?
Like, the second game?
Yeah.
Didn't we win the second game?
Hang on a sec. So you lost the first one, I think. You won the second one, but lost the third one. Was that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Yep. All right. Sorry. In the first game, you guys lost it. What happened? What were you thinking? Were you just like, "Well, hang on a sec. We can't just total this one out"?
I like to point out that turtling things out has never actually been our strategy. Everyone on the team actually gets really frustrated with long games. Our support flanger specifically told me that he hates games that go past 40 minutes. That's not to say we can't play them, but people don't like them. They get slowly agitated over time.
Yeah.
We never intended to go into any of these games with the idea of turtled out. It just comes down to sometimes if you lose control of the game, your one and only option is to stay in your base. If you don't have the comp to make a pick, or you're not comfortable enough making the pick, you just have to stay in your base. And like the first two sets against Envy, that kind of worked out, particularly the game where they had Karthus. But in the rematch, they were a lot better at closing out the games. It goes to show that they fixed a lot of their issues that they had in the first match that we had against them.
Yeah. From like an ADC perspective, usually you're quite known for your Lucian, Denian. You play a lot of Lucian, but we saw that you kind of shied away from it and picked Twitch over it a lot of times. What was the meaning behind that? Like, why?
I just think Twitch was really strong, and I'd been playing it a lot in scrims, and it's been going really well. There's nothing wrong with Lucian, nothing wrong with Twitch. We just felt that Twitch was a stronger pick at the time.
And Cheese, now, you often found yourself out-pressuring Heavens and whatnot in the mid lane. Why do you think that was the case? Like, do you think it was a lack of jungle pressure, better matchup, what?
Wait, I was out-pressuring him?
Yes.
Did you feel like you were out-pressuring him?
Is he frozen? Yeah.
I think
okay, he's gone. I thought he was just confused at what I said.
Wait, what happened? What happened? Was that everyone, or was that just me?
That was just you.
Alright, well, back to the question. Where's my... there we go. I don't think I out-pressured Heavens. I think Heavens had a way better performance than me most of those games, in fact.
Okay. It just seemed that Heavens also seemed to transition a whole lot stronger. Like, do you think that it's just a different playstyle that Heavens has, or what?
I had stronger lane phase picks, but I didn't get enough of an advantage lane phase to make them work, so he out-pressured me mid-game by a lot.
Yeah.
Do you think that was mainly due to champion pool picks, or just purely you were nervous and it was just an outplay on a player behalf?
Oh, say that again, sorry. I kind of lied.
Sorry, do you think that was because it was more champion picks that he outpicked you, or do you think it was maybe nerves to perform, and so it was a player outplay?
I think, well, one part was at nerves, and second part, me and our jungle Zahi, we have quite different play styles, and we've been working on synergy a while, and we still weren't just there yet, so we didn't get the ganks off where I'd see potential, he wouldn't, and then where he did, I wouldn't. So I wouldn't put the lane in the right position for him to gank. So I think that was probably a large factor that determined the lane not going our way.
Yep. So Danian spoke before about how AVA's playstyle is quite fast. How would you describe your playstyle in comparison to other teams?
You answer this one, Danian.
That's the thing. I don't really know what we do. I know we like team fighting. That's like the one thing I do know we like. Just because it's fun. We normally pick lane dominating champions. So I guess ideally we want the game to be over quickly, but sometimes we have trouble forcing mid-game picks or objectives. So I think in that sense that we want to do a lot early and we want to snowball the game, but maybe we're just not good enough yet for that, and that's why we practice.
Yeah.
So you guys have been playing for a little while now. How did your team get together?
Well, it pretty much just came one day. I was talking to Chuffer. I was like, hey, do you want to make a team? And as it turns out, at the same time, Zahe had talked to Chuffer, saying, hey, do you want to make a team? So me, Chuffer, and Zahe were just like, hey, let's make a team. And then we're like, well, we still need 2 more people. So I'd been talking to Jack Attack. He's a friend of mine. I've played with him in the past, and we thought, hey, why not pick him up, see where it goes. And then we still needed a support. The support is the silliest one because I'd only played with him once beforehand. And the only reason that we decided to play with him is because he made me laugh in a solo queue game. And I was like, yeah, that's a good quality to have. So we just started playing some games with him. He literally, like, at the start only played Thresh. And so, like, as punishment, I'd never let him play Thresh.
You must learn something else.
Exactly. But that's how the original 5 got together. But then Chuffer started to be less inclined to scrim as much as we wanted to. Kind of just wanted to go on with Uni and stuff like that. And maybe even change lanes. Like, he plays AD carry now. And he says he enjoys it a lot more. So, power to him. We still love him. But when he said that, we needed to find a new mid laner. And at the time, Cheese was capable and ready to play some games with us. So we went with him.
So who came up with that glorious name? It's so good.
Well, Chuffer had a much better name. As in, no one would know what the hell it was. It was something like Super Mega Ultra Death Rocket Explosion Team Comp. But we didn't want to go with that. Ideally, we wanted to go with a name that people wouldn't confuse with a sponsor. So it kind of had to be like a joke name or a straight up looking for sponsor sort of name. And so at the time, we had a bunch of people playing Hearthstone. They're like, "Oh, you're so self-suffer. Oh, we got Chuffer over here. Why don't we just make a little pun out of that?" I do like making puns from time to time. It's a lame pastime of mine.
I thought it was brilliant. When I first heard it, I'm like, oh my god, that was actually really good. So, with the challenges of forming a new team, did you guys feel like you needed to pick up somebody to do like an analytical coaching for you, or did you just like play together and just hopefully grow as a team?
Well, at the start, we definitely had no pressure to do any of that. It was just kind of like, after the game, we have a talk. What do we think we did right? What do we think we did wrong? And talking about wards and specifically, because that's always been a problem for basically every team ever, is that they don't have enough wards, and that's what you always need to talk about. But like as things have dragged on, you kind of get close to the teammates, and then sometimes you feel like you need someone else to just have another perspective, because you get kind of one-sided on things, like, oh, this is what I did and this is what I feel. But you need someone else that can have that kind of sixth-person perspective, and that's when we brought in Shock the Cat as an analyst to help us out with that sort of stuff.
Do you think that he's really helped improve the team synergy?
I don't know about synergy, but he's definitely helped with getting Cheese to buy more wards. Because it was like a 2 or 3 month thing where we would constantly tell him, you need to buy more wards, you need to upgrade your sweeper, you need to do these things, and he just would forget every time. And like it'd get kind of tiring telling Cheese over and over again that you need to buy these wards and get the sweeper. So when Shock the Cat was doing it for us, it made things a lot easier.
And what do you guys do, like, are planning for your future? You didn't get into round of 8 for the winters. What's going to be next on the agenda? Sorry,
I mean, we did get round of 8, but...
Four, I meant.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, we plan to just keep going, work on some issues. There might be a need to change some players around, but, I mean, ideally, you want to stay with the people that you have as much as you can. Because, as we said with Envy, we think a lot of their weaknesses from time to time has been the roster change, and we don't want to have those weaknesses. I think everyone that's on the team right now can perform really well, and we just got to work on that.
So you guys feel like you're stable enough to not just kind of like crash and burn and disband like a lot of OCE teams?
That was very morbid, Alicifer.
I'm sorry.
We don't want to crash, burn, and blow up.
Beautiful, good, because OCE just falls apart so readily and it's just so disappointing. So, best of luck to you guys.
Oh, thanks.
As long as we got that Swain, man, we happy.
Pretty much.
Okay, so, sorry, what was that?
I said you'll always have the Swain.
Good.
Swain.
I'm glad. So, do you guys spend much time watching games from other regions? Or is that more Shock the Cat's job as your analyst? Because
that's more his job. I mean, we do it sometime for fun, and sometimes we come together and say, all right, we are gonna watch this set of games together as a team. But normally it's just people do it for fun on their own time.
So do you guys follow it? LCS?
I personally don't really follow the LCS too much anymore. As soon as Gambit lost LXH, I was really sad and just stopped watching.
What about you, Chase?
I watch a bit of the LCS. I mean, like, honestly, each night I stay up quite late, so I just chuck on whatever's on, like, just the LCS. If it's a Riot Games Brazil and they're having a tournament, I'll chuck that on. It doesn't really matter.
Pain Gaming, man.
I don't even follow one specific one. I mean, they're all pretty good. They're all better than our scene. Maybe not by much, but they're all good to watch.
And do you guys have fantasy leagues?
I have one. I'm in a fantasy league with Benji, T-Gun, Jinxie, JK Smithy. There's a whole bunch of people in like the top 8/management sort of thing. But I'm not doing very well. I picked Fnatic members and they're letting me down.
Yeah, I feel you right now. Soaz, man, come on. What about you, Cheese? You got a fantasy league?
No, I'm not really interested in that kind of stuff, to be honest.
Oh, it's fun.
It's never been my scene. I don't know.
And moving on from that, what do you guys think of the awesome new graphics? You know, the Dota 2 update for League.
I think it's the colors are easier on my eyes, to be honest. And I've always kind of preferred the coloring of Dota 2's like terrain and stuff. So I'm pretty happy that it's coming around.
Yeah, I've always been kind of sensitive to bright lights, and League doesn't have a huge amount of bright lights. Having a nice and dull background that also just looks, I think, just strictly better is nice in general.
But yeah, aren't all gamers sensitive to bright lights though? So I mean, I struggle sometimes. Like the light's on right now, and I'm struggling to not hiss. It's terrifying. Now, as I said, the Dota update. You guys play Dota, I assume, Denian?
I used to. This is ages ago. Like when Warcraft 3 came out, I played the original Dota, Aeon of Strife as well. But I didn't play Dota going into League of Legends. There was a point where I wanted to play Dota 2, but I didn't have a beta access key. And at the time, League of Legends just entered open beta. So at the time, I was just like, well, I'll just play League of Legends until I get a Dota 2 key, because that's what I really wanted to play.
Yeah.
And then,
now, 4 years down the road.
And then it's just like, well, I kind of like this game now, so I'll just stick around. And I haven't actually played Dota 2 very much. I played 1 or 2 games with former teammates, and I always feed. So I have no clue what any of the heroes do anymore.
Yeah, too many. What about you, Cheese? You ever get into Dota?
Yeah, I started on Dota 1. I used to play a ton of Dota 1 with schoolmates in Singapore. I used to live in there. We used to go to like net cafes every night, play Dota. I played Han, and as soon as Dota 2 came out, I started playing that as well. I like those games a lot.
So you've just stuck with League the whole way, though?
Competitively, yes. I mean, like, I play Dota 2, like, kind of on the side. Like, someone who plays, Hearthstone. Like, it's not really their main game most of the time,
Yeah, of course. So, Danian, being involved, you've been in the esports scene for a really, really long time. I mean, I can remember being like 15 or 16 and meeting you at a LAN and being like, "Hey, it's that guy. What's up?" But like, how do you feel that it compares to the other regions? Because I remember, I somehow remember you saying to me just how different it was going to Japan, or where'd you go?
Korea.
Korea, yeah. How different it was going to Korea for like the league games, and how different everyone's mindset was to the Australian players and stuff. Like, how do you feel that we compare to the other regions?
I mean, lately it's been a lot better. The important thing is that lately teams have been practicing more, scrimming more, trying to get better. Now that there's like a financial incentive to want to win more, to want to get better, then a lot of people are getting more on board with it. I don't think we're anywhere near the other scenes. Maybe the team that gets first place in winter will show us otherwise, and they'll win the wild card tournament. That's what I hope. That's what I dream. But until we see that, my opinion is that the Oceanic scene is still lower in terms of skill than the other regions. I don't necessarily mean individually, because there are some really good individual players in Oceania. It's just as a team, a lot of the team dynamics are not there.
So, like, as an individual player, you mean like Hangmark, right?
I mean, I don't know. There's some really good individual players. Of course, the poster boy being Radier. He's a really great individual player. But Immunity as a team don't play as well as like an LCS team does as a team. And that's not to say that the individual players are not as good or worse or whatever. That aside, just as a team, they play worse. That's my opinion, at least.
So what do you think that the scene needs to do to grow and for people to like take it more seriously?
I think Riot is doing a good job as it is. They're slowly stepping up their game year after year, it seems. And if they keep doing that, then more people will get more interested, more people will stay around, more teams will stick together after a crushing defeat or whatever. Stability is very important, and it leads to having good teams in the long run. Because there was a period of time where every team that didn't beat Immunity would immediately disband or get poached by Immunity. And that was bad because the teams did not stay around to get everyone better mutually. So if how the trend has been lately, that's what we need to do, and we'll just keep going in that direction.
Have you got an opinion on that, Cheese?
What was the question?
What do we need to grow? Like, what do the people in the scene need to grow and take our scene more seriously?
Honestly, I mean, it's already happening. I think IM are becoming like way less of a superpower in the scene. I think that gives people motivation because they actually go, oh, we can actually win. Like, we can actually come first. Like, a long time ago, that wasn't really there. So, like, there wasn't that much motivation to play. But now with, like, the top 4 and top 5 being, like, more or less around equal ground, like, everyone's more motivated, which helps the scene a lot because then you don't have I think that's what will cause teams to stop roster swapping and stuff like that. And people start to accrue fan bases and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
Oh, sorry. Go for it.
I just want to touch further on this a little bit more. So what do you think the difference is between this year's Winter's Round of 8 and last year's like competitions going into packs? Because
I think overall the teams are just a lot better.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm. What do you think might have done that? Do you think it was consistency, or we've just started to get better people, or what do you think's the catalyst?
Well, a lot of the players, which were good, weren't necessarily on teams. So a lot of it has been the coming out of players to go into teams and play like on teams together as much as they can to get better as a team. As much of a jamble as that statement was. But that's pretty much what it is. The players that were good are coming out, and the teams that had a chance are sticking together and playing together and trying to stay there, because the money is it's not amazing, right? Like it's not something you can live off of, but it's nice and it's enough to motivate people.
Yeah.
And that is why I think the competition is fiercer now.
Now, I just wanted to like kind of backtrack a bit and talk more about ADCs with you, Denian, because it's always good to talk to someone who's like a known ADC. And earlier today we were talking a little bit about the new items and
Yep.
the nerf to Bloodthirster. How do you think this is going to impact ADCs like Lucian, like Twitch, and like will it promote more Blade of the Ruined King? Will it promote the new item? What will it do, in your opinion?
I mean, I've seen the changes, but without playing with it and seeing how everything works together, it's hard to say. Also, without seeing the Twitch and Lucian nerfs, which they've announced, also could change how things go. But the Borg changes, which look like a buff on paper, at least as far as I've seen, will probably make Vayne and maybe even Kog'Maw better champions, as they do like using that item. And then their counter, or the strongest champion that was against these Vayne and Kog'Maw hyper carry sort of champions, was Lucian. And if Lucian is also taking a nerf on top of the BT change, which looks like a damage nerf, which was Lucian's primary function, then it'll be interesting, because I think Vayne will take over. And I know a lot of players that don't play AD carry. They really hate playing against Vayne, so it'll be interesting.
So you feel like it's going to kind of bring to surface a few more of the less loved ADCs. Like Kog'Maw's finally getting a little bit of a limelight, because you know people are getting Triforce on him now and stuff like that. Do you feel like maybe Corki might make a resurface or anything like that? Like the more Triforce he carries with the, you know, the overall damage of the BT going down. Do you think that it might scale up and get the Triforce carries a little more love?
Maybe Israel, but I don't think it'll help Corki out. Corki is pretty heavy AD focused. Like Trinity works because he has a lot of spammable stuff and it gives him AD, which helps his Q and R and E. He's a rotation based champion, much like Lucian. He's worse at it than Lucian overall, but he is very similar to Lucian in that he wants to auto attack, do a spell, auto attack, and that sort of stuff benefits BT users, not Bork users. And that's they announced specifically that BT Trinity combo will do less damage, and that in itself nerfs Corki because that was his primary build. But it will be interesting to see more champions like Israel. But the one issue I have with Israel is if Vayne is getting better, Israel is really bad against Vayne in most cases. You can go even in the lane with Israel, but it's just you don't want to go even, you want to win. And I think Vayne has the edge up in that regard.
And the new item, you know, the CDR lifesteal, it's kind of like a mini Bloodthirst though, just with cooldown reduction and the mana thing. Do you think that will start being shifted onto Lucian? Because, you know, he has mana troubles, a lot of mana troubles. And do you think that may help him, or?
Well, I actually don't think Lucian has mana troubles by the time he gets his first or second item. Like, by the time you get BT, you don't really have the mana issues. It's normally before that point. And before that point, you're running mana regen runes to make up for it. And then with the second item being Trinity, or predominantly Trinity at least, you don't really need mana after that.
Yeah.
So I don't think that the item will impact on Lucian. It might. Once again, this is why you got to see the things on the live realm before you make a definitive judgment. And I don't want to look like a fool by saying there's no way that Lucian will use this item. I don't really see it. It seems like more of an item that a champion like Jace would use.
Okay, fair enough.
Alright, and so the question why everyone wants to know is why Swain?
Okay. This one probably, I don't know, I like RPGs and stuff. I've always kind of liked mage characters, just I don't know, like non-mobile, like super high damage kind of APs. So that's actually pretty much it. I like those kind of characters in books and RPGs, like similar chance to be like a Nivea and stuff like that. I don't really like just the mobile annoying champions like Zed, which just kill one person and get out. I just like the really high potential, high sustained damage mages, and Swain just kind of fits that bill.
So after the changes to Gragas, we've seen him less and less, but you played a lot of him. Have you played him since the changes, and do you think he's still any good?
I haven't played him once. I don't. I haven't played him once. I think he might still be okay, but like his ratios and stuff are just too low now to be effective AP mid. He's like he kind of favors like melee combat with him now as well. So his probably best place is top laner, or which a lot of people have been playing as a support as well. It's probably one
He
of
actually
those.
does seem like a better support than mid laner, given that his
Yeah.
ratios are pretty poor, his base values are okay, and his kit has a lot of CC. Because now he has the slow, he has percentage base damage, which is always okay on a support, knockback, and his ulti, which is a bigger knockback. So he has a lot of CC now, which makes him a better support, but I still think he's a pretty bad support.
Yeah.
Especially compared to champions like Braum. I just don't think he can hold a candle to Braum.
Yeah, like, I mean, I've been supported by a few Gragas's in solo queue, and it seems really lackluster until about level 3 when he gets all 3 of his abilities. So he seems easy to pressure out a lane early, and that's one of the issues, I guess. But another question for Cheese. So you pick predominantly carry mid laners. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
You pick predominantly carry mid laners. Like, you don't pick the Lulu. I mean, you do pick Lulu, but you don't pick the Soraka often. I've seen you pick Soraka once, and that went really, really well. But you generally shy towards, you know, the Orianna, the Syndra, the Swain. Why do you pick the more hectic carry mid laners as opposed to those?
Again, I just like really strong mages, like, I don't know, supportish mages, like healing mages, never really been my style. I never really found them that fun. I don't know, I prefer like not going, like I like being ahead, and that's what you get when you play like super aggressive mids and stuff. Like I like killing people and stuff like that. I like getting leads, not just trying to go even. And that's just what I enjoy, so I lean towards those kind of champions.
And so, what do you think about the up-and-coming Nidalee and Leblanc changes? Or nerfs, more than anything? Do you think it's justified, or...?
Well, the LeBlanc nerfs, I like, honestly, even at one point said, you know, I wonder what she'd be like without the bloody silence. I think it's going to hurt her laning phase a massive amount, but like not enough to actually stop her, not enough to actually remove the ability of her winning lane. I think what she does mid game, late game, like make catches will slightly be affected, but like late game, her damage is so high that when she actually combos like a backline, they pretty much die in like the space of 2 seconds. And even if they do get the flash out where they might have not before because of silence, they'll still be completely out of the fight. So I don't think her functionality has changed like late game, mid game, but I think she will find a like way harder time snowballing early game because of how that will change the lane. Because the silence being removed means people can actually trade back as soon as she W's onto them. Like Kayle can Q and then chase her as she goes back to a mimic and stuff like that, where Kayle used to not be able to chase. Nidalee, I'm not sure. I haven't really seen the changes enough. I mean, like, there were a lot of changes, a lot of number changes. Like, so I think that's one of the things you can't really tell what's going to happen until you actually get to play with the champion and see what damage they do with certain amounts of AP and in lane and stuff like that. So I can't really comment on the Nidalee changes.
All right, yeah, fair enough, man. Because I was watching a few videos on it, and it just seems to do a whole lot more damage with the combo, with the Cougar form combo. Just like getting the hunted proc on someone and then just jumping on them with WEQ just seems to do a lot more damage. It just seems the functionality of the champion seems a little more skill cap based and less throwing a spear and killing an ADC.
Well, I honestly,
so much fun.
Yeah, the fact that they made like the W and E, the W and E now go in the direction of your cursor, not just the direction Nidalee's facing. That makes things a lot faster and allows Nidalee's to, you know, flash W and like do a bit more of a risky play. Because a lot of the times, if you flash W on someone before, sometimes you would be on top of them, like when you landed with the W and the E would miss, which then means because you're on top of them and they're not actually in front of you, and then the Q does less damage because you missed that damage. And there's just all these other factors like creep blocking and stuff, which would just make certain plays really risky. But now that that's not affected at all, I think should be a lot more fun to play and a lot more accessible.
Fair enough. So we're going to move on to our funny question of the night. So we've touched on a bit of how wonderful your you're wonderful. Your team name is. And out of all the tournaments you guys have played in, this is a question for basically everyone here who's a league person. What are the funniest and dumbest team names you guys have come across?
I'm in a team called Euphoric Fedora Kings. I mean, that's an okay one, I guess. I don't really know. Can't really. To you, Denian?
I don't know, like the names that are funny, you kind of look at it, have a laugh, and then never remember it ever again.
Yeah, it's just like, well, that's kind of lame. But,
I was pretty proud of one of my team names. Actually, it was in the tournament I ran into Denian at. It was my last name is Dix. It's a wonderful last name. Excuse me. I was a jungler at the time, and my team was called Dix in the Jungle. So that was one of my happier moments of my life. What about you, Alicifer? You been in any little tournaments? Wonderful names?
Oh, I've only ever subbed in one tournament, and it was like the CG's grand final last year, I think, with Chiefs. But yeah, nothing really exciting. Just touching on that question though, what do you guys think about inappropriate team names and going into competitions that Riot's got their name to? Do you think that they should be allowed to keep those names, or do you just not care?
say that question again.
Do you think that Riot should allow teams to have inappropriate names in events that they're hosting?
Nope. Well, I mean, if they want to be serious about it and like look like a serious like sports organization, then probably not. I don't know. It depends. Like, how inappropriate are these names? Like, give me an example.
Oh gosh.
Oh, that would be inappropriate, Cheers.
I don't know, maybe like a team like Penis Warriors or something.
Yeah, yeah. You know, just something that you
Cash.
that you think is a joke.
I don't know if. I don't know. Like, I mean, I wouldn't care. Like, it doesn't really affect me, but I'm sure there's some 30-year-old guy who has like
Soccer
3
mom.
children and comes back from work and he's like, oh, I don't want my children watching this. Look, there's a team called Penis Warriors. I don't know. I'm sure someone out there cares.
Do you think that it might reflect poorly upon the OC competitive scene if others, like other regions, were to look in on us and go, wow, this team's actually allowed to play on a competitive level for a Riot event?
I don't know if Cheese has the authority to answer this question, given that his name has at one point been Bum Sex Plays.
Well, my friend actually logged into my account and changed that for me.
Yeah,
So-
look, less excuses, Cheese.
Yeah.
But I think silly names are fine. I don't think there should be swear words or anything like that in the names. But like maybe I'm wrong with that. It just feels that if they want to move this thing forward, then a lot of your viewers are going to be somewhat underaged or young, and even though most of them have already heard swear words before, they probably shouldn't be having team names with the swear words, and force the casters to either make an anagram or say that word over and over again.
So we're going to move on to our community questions. We have a few. First one's from Destiny X. Question to Cheese. Do you think your Swain is better than Heaven's?
My Swain is better than everything. So, I don't know what you want me to say. Like, yes.
All right, we have another question from My Name is the King NA1. Nice name. Can you ask Denian why he's so beautiful?
Oh yeah, I put some gel in my hair, and I'm like, oh yeah, got to do good, you know, got to do good.
Jesus Christ.
We got a question from Swiffer. And this is the Cheese. Who do you think the 5 best mid lane champions are in competitive play, both now and following the Leblanc/Nid nerfs?
I don't know what they're going to be after the nerfs. I don't know at all, and I'm not even going to bother. I have no idea, but right now, probably... I'm going to forget one, I know that, but probably LeBlanc, Syndra, Oriana... Oh, well, I can't name any others. Ziggs, for sure. Oh, no, Cassian. Man, Cassian's broken as fuck. For sure, Cassian.
Although he's getting nerfed.
Yeah, I mean, they nerfed him twice, and he's still the most broken champion in the game. And that was after the rework, which was supposed to nerf him. So I don't really trust that.
Do you find that Lulu's still in the top 5, or do you find that she's more like a top
I don't know.
now?
I'd probably put her in the top 5 if she wasn't better at top lane. But like, she's like good with like Shyvana and like combos like that. But she's like, I feel like she's a niche pick for mid lane.
So we have another question from SetTrack. What do you guys think about Muramana? My God. Okay, I got there in the end. I'm sorry. Denian, what do you think?
I mean, every time someone asks me about Merman, I have the same opinion. Is that once you get the item finished, it's a pretty good item, but getting to that point is a huge dip in power. So when you're looking at bot lane, which has a lot of all-in duels, typically with the supports like Leona, if you go an early tier, you're going to lose your lane, and that's probably not worth going Mirror Mana, one way or the other. The other is that it doesn't have lifesteal, and a lot of AD carry's damage is about sustained damage, and the lifesteal that you get overpowers any amount of mana that you'll have from having the Mirror Mana. Now, the active that you can activate on it, like for the damage based on your mana, that's really good. But at the same time, having an Infinity Edge in PD, as opposed to Mirror Mana BT, or whatever you want to do, Mirror Mana Trinity, it just doesn't seem like it's ideal. Because if you're going to lose your lane, and then not scale as well, I just find that there's some troubles there.
So we have one more question that just popped up, and it's a question that we get asked to ask every single week, and they want to know where you guys got your names from. So we'll go with Denian first, so like your in-game name.
I was just made up. Like, I was playing World of Warcraft at the time, and there was a random name generator, and I just pressed random name, random name, random name, random name, and it came to a name that was close to Denian, but not quite Denian. I didn't like the name, and I just changed it to Denian. I was like, yeah, I like this now. So it actually has absolutely no meaning whatsoever. Also, people actually pronounce it wrong. It's Denian instead of Denian, but people have said Denian so long that I actually don't know which is the right one anymore. It's just, if you think denial, then it'd be Denian, and that's why it should be pronounced in that fashion. But realistically, it doesn't really matter. We can just put an umlaut somewhere.
And how about you, Bumpsex, please?
Where'd
you get your name from? Where'd you get your name from?
Oh, okay. I don't know. For some reason, I called lots of my characters like cheese, like in World of Warcraft, it was like Elven cheese or something. I don't know. Actually, no. Okay, no, I can't remember now. It was something to do with the bloody Blood Mage from Warcraft 3. And then, like, my name was turned into I think it was just something cheese on Warcraft 3. And then my friends were like, oh, let's make like a clan tag, like, you know, that'd be really awesome. And it was going to be LQD. So that's where LQD cheese, and I just stuck with that.
Excellent. Well, I think that is all, guys. So I want to say a big thank you to all the viewers and everyone in Twitch chat. Once again, we will be laughing at you later. So thanks for the entertainment. And so everyone, thanks for tuning in today. DuoQueue podcast will be back next Wednesday at 7:30. If you enjoyed the show, please follow us on Twitch and subscribe to our YouTube. Also, check out our website, duoque.net.au, for everything League of Legends in Oceania. You can follow me at Alicifer Law, and you can also find Bensin at BensonAU. This is the DuoQueue podcast, and I'm going to thank you all for watching. I just want to lastly say to you two, do you have any shout outs that you would like to make?
No. No.
I don't know. Shout out to Chuffer, because he's an amazing guy and really funny. Shout out to Jew, because I really like playing with him. He's my support player, but it's really fun playing with him overall.
I'm surprised you didn't actually give a shout out to Big Papa Guo.
Edward Guo? Yes. I was thinking about it and I realized I don't actually like him very much, so I wasn't.
Oh, he's gonna cry to me tonight.
Yeah.
Alright, well, thank you both so much for coming. Like, once again, it's really cool to have people from the scene coming and joining us on this podcast. So, thank you all for watching.
We're signing out.